Coast Spotlight, shedding light on the musical artists of the East Coast of Canada. A live production aimed at discovering the artists behind the music, their lives, their careers, their likes, their dislikes, and of course, some quirky anecdotes from their journey through a musical life. Live from the studios of Tell Community Television on beautiful Almadam off the east coast of Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, East Coast Spotlight with your host, Jerry Sampson.
Well, hello one and all. Let us welcome you to another edition of East Coast Spotlight right here on Tell Community Television. And we'll say welcome in every way we can. We'll say bienvenue, Jalasi, Felcha, and of course, welcome, hello, wherever you're watching and wherever you happen to be tuning in from. We're very, very happy to have you here. You may notice that I'm not Jerry Sampson. I couldn't be Jerry Sampson if I tried, but I am going to sit in for him. I'm a friend of Jerry's. My name is Adam Cook. I've been very, very lucky to be on this show just a couple of years ago. And tonight I get a rare opportunity to sit in as your guest host this evening. East Coast Spotlight is a very special show because we not only hear the music of Atlantic Canada, we also get to hear the stories behind the songs and all the wonderful things that make up the people who give you the music that you love to hear so much. And we couldn't ask for two better people to be on East Coast Spotlight than the two people that make up our guests tonight. They are Eastbound. Please welcome Krista and Jay Ludington. Good to see you guys tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's great to have you here. And I mean, we go back many years in different formats, but I'm very, very excited about where you are right now because the two of you have big news. You are about to release your very first album.
Yes, yeah, we are. We're really, really excited about it. Just a few weeks ago, we landed in studio for a number of days and completed 10 tracks, and that should be coming out probably the first or second week of July if everything goes right.
And this really sums up everything that Eastbound is. There's original material, there's instrumental material, there's the beautiful vocal harmonies that you guys have going. So is this something that you've been really waiting to do for a long time? Is this a dream come true?
What would you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I dare say. We've been playing together for 8 years and, well, separately almost 20 years, I would say, in the making, but the last 8 we've kind of joined together, and it's the best decision that I've ever made. Hopefully you feel the same.
Absolutely.
He has to say that anyway, because we're on TV.
Yeah, so it's certainly something that we've been working towards for a long time, and it's really nice to see it come to fruition.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I know social media just blew up when you guys announced that it was finally happening. Everybody was so excited on Facebook and on all your socials. So it's great to have you here. And we're not going to talk much more because these guys are about music. We'll talk a little bit later, but we'd love to hear some tunes in only the way that Eastbound can do it. So Krista and Jay, take it away.
All right, perfect. Thanks so much, Adam.
Hey.
This is a really good time. We're really excited to be here, and Tell is certainly a organization that's near and dear to our hearts for sure. So we're going to start off with a non-original tune. Actually, it's a great song written by Bill Staines, and it's called Roseville Fair. Here we go. Oh, the night was clear and the stars were shining. A moon came up, so quiet in the sky. All the people gathered round and the band was tuning, and I can hear them now playing Coming Through the Ride. And we danced all night to the fiddle and the banjo. The drifting tunes seem to fill the air so long ago, but I still remember when we fell in love at the Roseville Fair. You were dressed in blue and you looked so lovely, just a gentle fire on a small town girl. You and we snapped to the music, and with a single smile, you became my world. And we danced all night to the fiddle and the banjo, the drifting tune seemed to fill the air so long ago. But I still remember when we fell in love at the Roseville Fair. Now we courted well, and we courted dearly, and we rocked for hours on the front porch chair. Then a year went by from the day I met you, and I made you mine at the Roseville Fair. And we danced all night to the fiddle and the banjo, the drifting tune seemed to fill the air so long ago. But I still remember when we fell in love at the Roseville Fair. So here's a song for all you lovers. Here's a tune that we can share. They dance all night to the fiddle and the banjo, the way we did at the Roseville Fair. Yeah, the way we did at the Roseville Fair. Thank you. Thanks very much. All right, so we're gonna just truck right along here and move into the next tune. So the next one is an original tune that was started many years ago. I used to play a ton of weddings, and at that time I thought, I really need a song that can be played at a ceremony. And so I started it and never finished it. And then met this fella, and 8 years later we sat down to finish the song. And it's kind of cool because it has become one of those songs that I feel like I was writing about you all along, even though it was, many years before. So this one's called Treasured Moments.
That's an awe moment.
You're the thought that starts me off each day, thought that says goodnight. The way you say I love you, it makes me feel just right. You were all I've ever wanted, all I'll ever need, all I've ever dreamed of. You're all of this to me. Love the little things you do that show you make mistakes. Sudden imperfections recreate each breath I take. Every moment I'm with you, I act like it's the last. Treasure the moments we share together, found true love at last. Love the way you always know exactly what to say. When everything is going wrong, you brighten up my day. I lay here in your arms as your eyes start to close, thanking all my lucky stars. I'm glad I'm the one you chose. Love the little things you do that show you make mistakes. Sudden imperfections recreate each breath I take. Every moment I'm with you, I act like it's the last. Treasure the moments we share together, found true love at last. Love the way you look at me with love in your eyes. You make me feel like everything's okay. You are what I've been looking for in my life. And you keep reminding me every single day that love the little things you do that show you make mistakes. Sudden imperfections recreate each breath I take. Every moment I'm with you, I act like it's the last. Treasure the moments we share together, found true love at last. Love the little things you do that show you make mistakes. Sudden imperfections recreate each breath I take. Every moment I'm with you, I act like it's the last. Treasure the moments we share together, found true love at last. Treasure the moments we share together, found true love at last. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So Jay's going to take the lead on this next one, and he's going to tell you a little bit about it while I tune my guitar here.
Yeah, so this next tune was actually written for my grandfather's boat. He had a fishing boat back in the 80s called the Eastern Queen. It was captained by himself, my father, and would have been my great uncle who ran the boat. And this was just one of the stories that my father told me when they were out for kind of a longer excursion and had a good haul and got caught up in a storm. So what ended up being a great trip out was a kind of a hectic trip back, and it took a lot longer coming back in than it did to get out there. So this song is called The Eastern Queen. Born in the spring of 81 near Cape Sable Isle, built by the hands of chainsaw to withstand the wild. 7 fathoms bow to stern, broad for the rugged sea. Blood, sweat, and tears, crew of only 3. Men that lead a sailor's life tend to have no fear. Wouldn't go to live and leaving from the pier. Captain with his daring ways can always get them home, making sure their loved ones will never be alone. She sailed away across the bay, never knowing where she's been. Out in the big wide ocean, capturing the wind. Her strength and faith beyond compare, nothing came between. This is the story of the Eastern Queen. The moon was calm as they cast away in the early morn. When they reached the middle bank, they seen the Scarlet Horn. With the nets unloaded, they knew they had to go, hoping to outrun the storm or face the final blow. Sinking down below the waves and rising up again. 20 meters high, full speed ahead. The stress on the Queen was high, but never did she crack. 28 to get there, but 40 hours back. She sailed away across the bay, never knowing where she's been. Out in the big wide ocean, capturing the wind. Her strength and faith beyond compare, nothing came between. This is the story of the Eastern Queen. She sailed away across the bay, never knowing where she's been. Out in the big wide ocean, capturing the wind. Her strength and faith beyond compare, nothing came between. This is the story of the Eastern Queen. This is the story of the Eastern Queen. Yeah, this is the story of the Eastern Queen. Thank you so much.
That's the good stuff right there, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching East Coast Spotlight right here on Tel Il Community Television. Whether you're watching from Richmond County, where we're filming, or across Cape Breton, or across Canada, or even around the world on YouTube, we're very happy to have you along. You've been listening to the sounds of Eastbound. They are, of course, comprised of Krista and Jay Luddington. We're very, very happy to have you guys here. And I want to say, Jay, you and I were talking about that song Eastern Queen a little earlier on, and saying it's nice to have a sea song about a ship that actually comes back instead of going down at sea.
Yeah, that's very true. No,
Yeah.
he always told stories. I mean, grandfather always told a lot of stories, but definitely a lot about his fishing days and being part of some major storms. But yeah, he always made it back.
Made it back. That's wonderful. I'm glad you're talking a bit about your grandfather and his sea days, because I wanted to ask each of you about the influence that family has had on you in shaping your music and shaping the kind of music that you create and perform today. So, Jay, you come from a beautiful community in Guysborough County, from New Harbour. Can you tell us a little bit about what the influences were like on you as you were growing up and how that has shaped your music today?
Yeah, for sure. No, family definitely had a huge influence on that. My grandparents were well known around the festivals and variety concerts and such. Yeah, they performed quite often. My father and his sister also sang with them as well, and so it was kind of something you just grown up with. And you know, in the middle of the afternoon on the weekend, it was nothing to bring out the guitar and a songbook and play some good old tunes. So.
Nothing like it. Do you remember the first time you ever sang in public? Can you tell me anything about that?
Oh, wow. I mean, been involved with, you know, the school choirs, of course, and Christmas concerts and so on since 7. And just kind of, like I said, always been part of choirs and the church and different musical things that have happened over the many, many years. So, you know, something that's never really ended.
No, and we're lucky for us that that's the case. That's wonderful. All right, thanks so much. Krista, I've known for a while that your musical influence comes from your family, growing up in Dundee, and I know your grandfather played a big role in that. Can you tell us a little bit about him?
Yes, so it was actually my great-grandfather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my great-grandfather was a fiddler around Dundee and the area. He used to play square dances, and so when he finally let me touch the fiddle, because that was a thing for a while, where I wanted to, and he was like, no, not yet. But then we got to a point where I was almost 10, and so I remember him coming out of the room with just a small little, I don't even know if it was a half-size fiddle at that point, and the sound post was tied in there with a piece of yellow yarn. I remember it was tied right around the fiddle. And he said, take this home and see what you can do with it. And so I started playing around with it and, you know, squeaking out some little sounds and tunes. And so then I was fortunate enough to actually play the fiddle with him for about 8-9 months before he passed away. So he was 90, I was 9. So it was quite something unique for sure. And so he started to teach me a lot of the older tunes like Maple Sugar and Red Wing and St. Anne's Reel. And then from there it just kind of flourished. So it started with the fiddle, But my whole father's side of the family, they're all very good guitar players and sing. So much like Jay, you know, on a Sunday afternoon, we would go down to my grandparents for Sunday dinner, and it would always end in a house party with guitars out and about. And it would start with family, but then throughout the afternoon, it was an open door policy. So folks from the community and beyond would pop in with an instrument, sing a few tunes. They might stay, they might not, but it really was something to see. It was incredible.
Yeah, many a musical lifetime launched by a great Nova Scotia kitchen party, and we see it with the two of you right here. So fast forward a little bit, if you could you folks tell us a little bit about what happened that brought the two of you together as musicians? Because the two of you are a couple, of course, husband and wife for nearly 5 years, but how did you wind up being on the same stage together?
You want to tell the story?
I'll tell the story.
Okay,
I'm looking forward to this, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know the story.
No, I actually don't.
Adam
so this
and I
is,
go back
yeah.
many, many years. How many years, Adam?
2001 was the first time I got to
Okay.
see you play.
So-
You were 11. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And that's so cool that you don't know the story yet.
Yeah.
So, 8 years ago, I was a bartender at Shindig's Pub in Port Hawkesbury, and Jay was a part of a band, and so he had come in to play, and I was actually not scheduled to be on that night.
Okay.
And then my boss called, and she said, like, we're slammed. You need to come in. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I run out to the car, and I race into town, and I get there, and the place is dead. I'm like, what in the name? I said, I thought you guys were slammed. And she said, you'll thank me later. And I said, okay. And so then it wasn't very long, and I looked up, and there was this handsome fella setting up the stage, and I thought, okay, I see. So anyway, the night went on, and his band performed. And then my boss always had this habit of when the bands would take a break, she would throw me up on stage. So that's exactly what happened. But on every other occasion, the band would leave, and half the band left, and then half the band stayed. So Jay stuck around on stage. We sang, 3 or 4 songs together, I would imagine. Yeah. And he started doing harmony. And it just worked. Like, it just fit like a glove from the very first night. And so we were like, okay, whatever that was. And so we finished out the night, and I went up to him at the end of the night and said, thanks so much. And, it was great to meet you. And just want to let you know that I'm going to be your wife someday. And
True story.
and he went, okay, I'm okay with that. So I wasn't lying.
Oh, my goodness. Get it out of the way early, folks. Yeah, don't waste any time.
No, that's right.
There we go.
Here we are.
But I will say, Jay, just apart from that, which is just wonderful in itself, can you tell me a little bit? I've known myself personally when singing with someone, and when harmony vocals click, or when two voices click, and all of a sudden it stops being one person and two person, and it's a whole new wonderful thing happening. Was that what you were feeling when Krista was up with you that
definitely,
night?
yeah. I mean, I've sang with, like I said, with a lot of choirs, and we've always listened to, Oak Ridge Boys and Statler Brothers with the grandparents. So I really had a great understanding. My dad's a phenomenal tenor singer as well. When you really find that tone that just fits, it's very rare. My father and I probably be the only ones up until Krista, actually, that it really just intertwined with each other. And it was pretty instant when it happened with us. So that was pretty exciting, actually. Opened my eyes big time.
Watching the two of you over the years, it feels like each of you brings the best out of each other. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that for a bit. Jay, what does working with Krista on stage and off bring to your performance? And then Krista, can you tell me the same?
It would be nice.
Well, it's with as much talent as Krista has within her fiddle, guitar, vocal, everything, the whole package. It definitely bring my A game. Anytime we had a chance to perform together, which turns out to be quite a bit. So definitely improved on the musical level, but just on the stage presence level. Like I said, I never did a ton of on-stage performances up until since meeting Krista. So it's been definitely a different change in perspective, an appreciation for what goes on in front of the stage as well as behind the stage. doing a lot of sound gigs and so on. So it definitely was a great experience and always learning.
Oh, terrific. Krista, what about yourself?
Yeah, I can echo those sentiments for sure. I think certainly teamwork comes to mind when I think about us getting together and playing and doing these shows. And Jay always takes the lead in making sure that we have everything possible, because if it was up to me, I would show up without the speakers, and then there might not be a mic, and there's a possibility I might not even have the guitar. So it's he's always been excellent at making sure that everything is in line behind the scenes, and then when we get to the show, same thing. Like you just bring it every single show that we do, and it works. That's all I can say about it. It just works.
Oh, that's why it's not East and Bound, it's Eastbound. It's one word. It all works together. You guys are one great musical unit. And apart from all that goes into booking a gig, getting there, setting sound up, tearing down at the end, making sure everything works, guitars in tune, etc., talk about the pure joy of doing this in front of what's been a growing fan base for years. I mean, you guys have been booking gigs all over Cape Breton, northeastern Nova Scotia, and beyond. We'll talk about the beyond part in a little bit, but first of all, what does it mean to know that you've got so many places you can go where people are coming out and welcoming you so warmly?
It's incredible. I think it's
the best thing. Yeah, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me for sure. And it's really, really cool that we can do that together, because we've both been in situations before where that wasn't the case, and that can be really tricky when you're coming home at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night, right? So we get to do that together, and there's absolutely nothing like it, for sure.
Yeah, Jay.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and just having the chemistry, between us. I'm sure that's partly because we are together and happily married, and we just kind of shine through with our music with that. And I love it when people come up and there's like, well, you're either sister or brother, or you're married together. So believe it or not, we've actually gotten that quite a bit too.
Quite a bit.
I think you're related and married. There we go.
No, not
I said
both.
or.
No.
So it's definitely it's a phenomenal feeling and experience, and to be able to have people feel how we feel when we're performing, to hear it, it's quite rewarding.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we joke about the idea that you're married on stage and off stage, but I mean, the music scene has been littered through the years with groups that had married couples intertwined within them, everybody from ABBA to Fleetwood Mac, and it didn't always work out quite well enough, but it's nice to see that you guys have been able to keep this going on stage and off as well. Yeah, right on.
I agree.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, that's an awful lot of talking. I feel like we need some tunes. What do you guys think? We want to thank our studio audience for coming tonight.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Yes, and we're going to turn it back over to Eastbound for the next musical selections in our show. You're watching East Coast Spotlight on Tel Il.
I'm actually going to ask you.
Ooh, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Right, so this particular set of tunes is called A Set to Give Thanks. We've been very, very fortunate over the past 8 years to have people come into our lives or be bred into our lives who just support us no matter what, and we can't put into words how grateful we are for that. And so this particular set, it starts off with a waltz, and it was named after Jay's grandfather, Keith Ludington. So it's Keith Ludington's waltz. If you can't tell by the way he talks, his grandfather really was a massive influence in his entire life. So, and he was a fantastic gentleman. So Keith Ludington's waltz, and then moving on, which I'm not going to explain very much about the tune so far, but the next jig is called Jim and Linda Parkinson's Jig. I'll tell you a bit about that later. And then it's the Herndon's Reel, and I'll tell you a little bit about that later. And then we finish off with Dave Cashin's Reel. Now, back in, I guess it was last year, right? Yeah, in July 2018, we went to Stanfest in Canso. Always a fantastic time. And on the Saturday night, we ventured out and went to a couple of jam sessions, and we weren't at this particular one very long, and I was playing the fiddle, and I laid it down. Big mistake. I laid it down, turned around to go grab the guitar, and I heard a snap. And it was a snap that I still dream about, or it's a nightmare. But everybody went dead silent. There must have been 100 people at that jam session, and you could hear a pin drop. And somebody had mistakenly stepped on the fiddle and snapped the neck in two. And so I went, well, we're here now, and there's no need getting upset about it, so that's all right. We grabbed the guitar, and we kept going until I think it was 4:30 in the morning before we made it back to our trailer. So anyhow, a gentleman that was there who has a connection to Jay, it was his childhood best friend's father. He had absolutely nothing to do with the accident, but he was just shook over the event. And the next day he came up and he said, like, you have to let me cover the expense for that. We were like, Dave, you have nothing to worry about. This has nothing to do with you. He said, no, I won't sleep. I'll lose sleep over it if you don't let me do this. I love music. I love you guys. And I really just need to do this. Let me. So we're like, well, okay. So he covered the expense to get my fiddle repaired. And so this little tune for him to give thanks. very much. And big thanks to Adam. I just threw that Adam before the... I just threw it Adam. Did you hear that? Oh. Just before the show, and you did excellent. So thanks so much.
All right, so the next song that we're going to do is a traditional song, something that Chris and I have performed pretty much since the beginning for the last 8 years, and I'm sure she's performed it even longer than that. But it's kind of a well-known tune around, and it's been done many different ways and many different by many different people. But this is our version of Wall Mountain Thyme.
All right, and I thank you for bearing with me. I woke up on Saturday morning with this nasty head cold, and still struggling with it, so thanks for sitting through it.
Oh, the summertime is coming, and the trees are sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme grows around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pick wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? I will bear my love a bower by a cool and crystal fountain, and round it I will pile the wildflowers of the mountain. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pick wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? If my true love not come, then I'll surely find another to pick wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pick wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie? pick wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? Will you go, lassie, go? Will you go, lassie, go?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. All right, so this next one that we're going to do is it's another traditional tune, but we kind of follow the arrangement of a band named Barrage, and it's a song that I've been singing for a long, long time. Actually, it started way back. You would probably know exactly what year, Adam? 2004. That's when I started singing this song, and it was actually a part of a group with Adam called the Fleur-de-Lis Trail Players. We played in Lewisburg, and it's a heck of a good time. So we decided that we wanted to do our own version of this. And so it's the last track of the album. It's an old Irish blessing. And so we thought, you know, there's no better way to finish off the album than with an old Irish blessing. So it's an easy one to sing along to as well if you catch on to the words, which I'm sure you will. It's called Until We Meet Again.
May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face now. May the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, and until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of His hand. May God hold you in the palm of His hand. May our children and their descendants be the ones who find a lasting peace. May their hopes and dreams become united. May the past be left for those who hate. And until we meet again, and until we meet again, may love and trust find a way to make us stand. May love and trust find a way to make us stand. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. May the rains fall soft upon your fields. May this world and all its wonders be a home to all humanity. May the people find a common purpose. May we help one another to survive. And until we meet again, and until we meet again, may Mother Earth pour her heart into our land. May Mother Earth pour her heart into our land. And until we meet again, and until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of His hand. May God hold you in the palm of His hand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There it is, that beautiful harmony that I was talking about a little earlier, blending so well together. Thank you, Krista and Jay. And those of you just tuning in right now and hearing that song thinking, oh, we're at the end of the show. No, you're not. Think in vinyl record terms. We're going from side A to side B here right now. So we're at about the halfway point. We're very, very happy to have Krista and Jay Ludington joining us for East Coast Spotlight. They are, of course, Eastbound. And that brought back some nice memories of the times that we had for the Fleur-de-Lis Trail Players at the Lewisburg Playhouse.
Yeah, for sure. I think about it every time I sing the song.
There we are. Nice. Do you think about that night you got hopped up on Red Bull and Oreos and you wound up writing a jig? She roars up to us just like 5 minutes to go. I wrote a new jig. It's like, okay.
I tend to forget that.
Oh, there you go. We forget most nights that we're hopped up on Red Bull and Oreo stuff. Yes, we do. By the way, this gives me an opportunity to mention you're actually going to be back at the Lewisburg Playhouse on July the 8th.
Yes, super excited about that.
For our viewers in Cape Breton Regional Municipality, Glace-based singer-songwriter Wendy Markey is going to be headlining a show at the Playhouse. She's invited Krista and myself and Kathy Cook as well, and we're going to have a grand old time over there. Plug. But because this is Eastbound's show, I would rather hear a little more about some of the dates that you guys have set for the summer, because I know summer is a busy time for musicians, especially for Nova Scotia musicians. Are there any 2 or 3 shows that either of you are looking at that you're really excited about? You want to let the people know what's going on?
Oh my goodness. So it's a crazy summer. I think last week we did 4 gigs, this week 3, and that's much the same throughout the summer. So we're spending a lot of time at Dundee Resort and Golf Club and playing their wing nights and their pub nights. So looking forward to that throughout the summer. As well, we're starting to play at Cabot Links in Inverness. So yeah, we've never played for their regular entertainment series before, so we have a couple of dates with them that we're really looking forward to, as well as the Antigonish exhibition, which is a first for us as well. That's happening on September 1st. I think it's a Sunday afternoon from 1:30 to 3:30. It's an outdoor concert. So.
But also coming up quite soon, actually, we've been invited to become part of Kitchen Fest, which is on June 29th up at the Governor's Pub.
You lie. It's June 30th.
June 30th,
yes.
Sorry. Something else on the 29th.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so that's happening in Sydney at Governor's Pub. And we're there with Lewis McKinnon and Roger Stone. So it's going to be a great night.
That's going to be awesome.
Oh, that's fantastic. Kitchen Fest is really taking root as one of Cape Breton's new early summer music festivals. So glad you guys are in on it. If people want to learn more about upcoming show dates or any activities you guys have, especially those surrounding the album, I know you folks are very active on Facebook with the Eastbound Facebook group, but can you tell people where they can go online to find out about you?
Yeah, that's right. So if you search Eastbound on Facebook, we've got a Facebook page there. It's a picture of us, so you know that it's who you're looking for. And just give us a like, and then we'll pop up in your feed, and everything will be grand. If you don't do Facebook, though, that's okay. We just launched a website that we're really excited about, and the website is?
It's www.eastboundmusic.ca.
Yeah. So we're pumped about that. Actually, it's only been out for 2-3 weeks now, and we're changing things all the time. We added a blog that we're going to be telling stories throughout the summer of where we're at and what we're up to. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love hearing about things that are hot off the press.
Yes.
So it's nice to know that you guys have the new website up and the new blog. But I want to spend this part of the show talking about one of the most exciting things that is going right now is that you have the new album that's coming together. Can you give us a little bit of background as to how the Eastbound debut album came about and how you wound up putting this all together at Pinnacle Studios in Belleville, Ontario?
All right.
Quite a story.
It is quite a story.
Yeah.
So it started back in July of 2017 on a Tuesday night. John Ellingbo, who is sound engineer extraordinaire in Port Hawkesbury, he got a hold of us and said, look, somebody is looking for entertainment for a cruise ship of some sort. I don't really know much about it, but would you be interested? I've passed your name along. We said, yeah, sure. So then I think it was 11 o'clock that night, the phone rings, and it was a gentleman by the name of Kelly Peck, who some folks know from Stan Rogers Folk Music Festival as a co-host there, as well as Celtic Colours International Festival hosting the festival club.
So he's based out of Toronto, and he started to tell us a little bit more about this cruise ship. And it was a cruise line by the name of One Ocean Expeditions. And he didn't know a whole heck of a lot about it either, except for the fact that musicians had bailed. Not bailed, but they had to cancel. Something happened. They didn't bail.
They had gracefully departed. For legal reasons, we'll say that.
They were looking for a replacement.
Yes.
And it was a 10-day cruise. And we said, oh man, like, I don't know if we can do the 10 days, but we can certainly do like the weekend. So we'll jump on the Friday, we'll get off on the Monday in PEI and make our way back. So it was really quick, and we ended up on the cruise ship, and it was an amazing experience. And on the Sunday night, one of the staff members came up and she was like, do you have to go? We're like, well, we kind of do, and kids, and they can only feed themselves for so long. No, I'm just kidding. No, they were taken care of. It's all good. But we're like, no, we probably have to go. And she was like, well, and so after a little bit of convincing, not very much, we made some phone calls. We were out at sea, so we didn't even know if we had cell service at the time. And but anyway, everything got straightened away, and we ended up staying for the 10-day stint. So, with that being said, we met a crew of people. Do you want to tell them about it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, this, we kind of, right on the first night, we were just doing a little improv pub night in the bar of the ship. Some random people happened to stick around, like, okay, well, we'll play along. Ended up becoming our ship family by the end of the 10-day stretch, who, unbeknownst to us, actually, the Harndens were part of that ship family who we didn't know at the time, but on the last day was informed that, hey, this guy, he's been around. We have a studio. He's been singing for a lot of years, and we would love to record you guys. So yeah, and
from there we kind of went like, wow, that's great, excellent. And then we left the ship, and not that we never thought any more of it, but it was like a pie in the sky dream. That's wonderful, but would it ever actually happen, and that sort of thing. And then we kept in touch, and every once in a while we would get a message saying, hey, when are you coming to Belleville? Like, we were still wanting to record you. And so then it became more and more.
Bring the kids, and don't worry about food or drinks or babysitters or whatever, we'll totally take care of you. Just come up and have a good time. And
so that's what we did.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was incredible.
And it sounds like this was a wonderful experience for both of you. It would have been your first recording experience, was it? Yeah.
Well, way back when, I did do a track for a Christmas CD that I don't even know if it was released or not, but it was definitely a different experience, from being in a washroom with a mic in front of you, to being in a grand studio as we were. So definitely a different experience for sure, but it was phenomenal.
Yeah, and Krista, the same for you, because I know you did put an album out in 2006 called Aftermath.
That's right.
And that was a wonderful experience. I got to be in on that, but it was recorded basically at your folks' house in Dundee.
In the basement.
Your dad set up a recording studio in the basement. Hi to Roger and Nancy, by the way.
That recording studio was also first built as a soundproof room when I was first learning the fiddle.
Wow.
So yeah, it didn't take very long. I was scratching away on the fiddle probably a few months, and Dad was downstairs building a room saying, this is just for you.
Yeah.
You go for it.
There we
Down
go.
in the soundproof room.
Roger's always been wonderful that way.
Yeah, that's right.
Great.
Thoughtful.
So a major leap forward, though, to be able to go to Pinnacle Studios, and you guys were surrounded by the best in sound equipment and by a producer. Tell us a little bit about him, the studio engineer, because he has quite a track record, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. So we wouldn't have known by talking to him, because he was as humble as could be, and I'm sure he would have been so upset if he knew that his wife was going behind him chatting with us, being like, this guy, like, he's something, and you need to know about him. So he played in a band called
Cedar Creek.
Cedar Creek.
Yeah.
And that was back in the 50s and 60s, I guess.
Yeah.
And some of those band members went on to become the Oak Ridge Boys. In the 80s, Reba McEntire opened for his band. So that was quite something. He was an extraordinary songwriter, still is, and has won multiple awards because of it. And he had a lot of #1 hits on the top of the charts in Canada. So it's quite a long list of a resume, you know. But we would have never known. Just chatting with him, because he was, completely humble, never shared a thing, really, quite tight-lipped.
It's an impressive resume, but one thing we know about resumes is that they don't sing and they don't play instruments.
Right.
So I want to focus in on the magic that happened in the studio. I mean, you guys have performed together all over the region and sung for years together, but were there any aha or wow moments in the studio where you looked at each other and said, this is really happening, these songs that we wrote?
The entire 4 days.
The whole time.
All,
Every 3 seconds, wow,
Oh.
wow.
Oh, absolutely.
the caliber of talent of musicians that he was very fortunate to bring in, good friends of his, but the drummer himself has played for multiple different high-ranking bands, to say the least. Right down. Actually, he told a story how he started out at 14 playing on the Tommy Hunter show, which was, I know for myself, I used to enjoy watching as a kid. So, and then grew from there, and he's actually on the Bob Seger Night Moves studio track as the drummer. So he was, anyways, very happy to come in and lay some percussion tracks for us. We also have Mr. Steve O'Connor, who plays with the Jim Cuddy Band currently on the CD. He was a wonderful guy, beautiful piano player. Then we also had a bassist, Scott Alexander, who has played with Brian Barlow, the drummer, on different venues such as the Lion King, which they did for quite a few years in Ontario. And like I said, the caliber of talent was unreal. They put down the bed tracks within one day. For the most part, never heard the songs up until we performed them once for them. They took the charts, made their little notes, and a couple times each, and that was it. They were phenomenal and super humble,
That's what I was going to say. Like, talent is one thing, right? But the attitude, like, I was a bit apprehensive going into the studio. The night before, you have the jitters, right? Not knowing what to expect. You have these incredible musicians coming in to help a couple of amateurs get this, recorded. And so you just don't know what you're going to be met with. And within the first 2 minutes, and that's probably the first 60 seconds, it was like, this is going to be a fantastic day. And it was like, they were so much fun, and they made the whole experience just an incredible ride, for sure.
That's wonderful. And just as we're getting ready for the next set of music, I do want to say that it was really lovely that you guys were posting video clips of the studio sessions and of the final mixes as we were watching these on Facebook, on the Facebook Eastbound page. And it really hit home to me that, as wonderful as these studio musicians and the expertise is, this is not Krista and Jay being drowned out by a whole bunch of other people. This truly is an Eastbound album, and you've got that pure Eastbound sound right there.
Absolutely. That was one thing that we said right from the get-go, is that without having to articulate what our vision was, they just came in and did it. We didn't have to tell them, like, this is what we're aiming for, this is what we'd like to hear. That didn't exist. They just came in, they knew, and they did it, and they valued our opinion. And anytime we had a suggestion, which there wasn't very many, because we didn't have to. They had it covered, right? But anytime we did, they took the time and they listened, and they were just gems to work with, for sure.
That's
we
wonderful.
were very fortunate.
Yeah.
Very fortunate.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, I'll tell you what, I'd like to put a pause on the interview for just a moment, because you've got some more wonderful music. We were talking a bit about the Fleur-de-Lis Trail Players at the Lewisburg Playhouse, and this next song had its genesis back in those days, but the title has changed from one to the other. Can you tell us a little bit about how the song came together and how you were inspired to write it?
Okay, so my father and I, actually, we sat down and started jotting some things down. So many years ago, my sister, who she was born and raised in Cape Breton, but just for some reason just couldn't wait to cross that causeway and never turn back. And it's a common story that we hear all the time from folks. And so that's what she did. She decided, I don't know how old she was. She might have been 16 at the time. And she said, like, no, I'm out of here. So she took off. She went to Toronto. And she thought it was going to be just, life-changing. And I suppose it was, with some of the lessons that she had taken away from that. But it wasn't very long. And we saw her cross the causeway again, but coming home. And so, it's certainly a story that I think resonates with folks from Cape Breton. And eastern part of Canada, for sure. Everyone wants to head west. It's better out there. The grass is always greener, but they come to realize that may not always be the case. And so they end up back home where they enjoy themselves and where their family is and all of that. So then, we wrote this song, and it was initially called Home. And we went into the studio, and so the weeks leading up to our studio session, we would send tracks to Ken, and they would be charting all the tunes out. And so then when we got there and they brought the charts out, we were just amazed at seeing our music on paper in ink, and it's just incredible. And so we're flipping through, and we get to one, and it says City Lights. And we realized that we never actually provided the names of the songs to them. So Brian, the fellow who did all the charting, he would just name it whatever he thought fit. And we took one look at it and looked at each other, and we were like, yeah, we like that. So what's formerly known as Home is it's now called City Lights.
And I can tell you I've loved this song for a long time. I'm delighted that you guys have recorded it on this new Eastbound album.
Awesome, thank you.
Right on.
Thanks so much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching East Coast Spotlight on Tillil Community Television. Let's turn it back over to Krista and Jay Luddington. They are Eastbound.
You'll have to bear with me for 1 second as I just have to change my tuning here. And then I have to tune one more time when I put this capo on. There we go. And full disclosure, my sister ended up moving back to Ontario a couple of years ago, and she's very happy there. Just getting ready to have another baby. I'm all excited. All right, here we go. Finally getting away. She said she's moving to Toronto to stay. Always said since here. She said that she'd be living far from here. Nothing left to see. Loved the city life. She loved the partying late at night, clubbing with her friends. She thought the fun would never end, never go back home again. City lights, they shine so bright. The music's not the same. The stars you see are on the street, a world of pain. The job she had was alright. She worked days from 9 to 5. Money really was tight. She struggled hard to do things right. The city lights, they shine so bright. The music's not the same. The stars you see are on the street, a world of pain. There's people everywhere. It's not like home, 'cause they just don't care. I'm feeling so alone. I just wish there's work back home. Feeling sick to my heart. I should have known right from the start. It's not the place for me. I wanna be with family. Can't wait to go home again. City lights, they shine so bright. The music's not the same. The stars you see are on the street, a world of pain. The city lights, they shine so bright. The music's not the same. The stars you see are on the street, a world of pain. A world untamed.
Thank you very much. All right. So the next little number that we're going to do, it's an instrumental that I had wrote. I wrote it, I started, probably 6 years ago I wrote the first tune. And the first one is called Layla's Dream. Now, my stepdaughter's name is Layla, and Layla's now 8 years old. And she's just a wonderful little girl who is growing up to a wonderful big girl. And it's happening right before our eyes, as it always does. And people always tell you, don't blink. And it's true. So then 3 years ago, we had little Miss Addison, and then I had to write a tune for her because that's just not fair. And then a year ago, we had Taylor, so I had to write a tune for her too. So the whole set is called the Three Girls Medley, and it's really, really quite something to see. We got the raw tracks back. We got to take them home with us, and so the first thing we wanted to do is play them for the girls. And you have to meet these little ones. The music runs through their veins, through and through. And even the 1-year-old, like as soon as some music comes on, the toe starts going or the leg starts going, and she can't even help it. I don't think she realizes that she does it. So we wanted to play these for the girls, and it's so cool to see the 3-year-old saying, "Layla, that's your dream. That's your dream, Layla." And then she introduces her tune. "This is my tune. This is Addison's jig. And Taylor, that's your reel." So it's really, really cool. So I'm going to play this one for you now. Right pick in my hand. All right, here we go. Thanks very much.
All right, so the next song that we're going to do, we talked about being on the One Ocean Expedition ship, where we met our ship family. We also got to meet the CEO of the company and his fiance, who actually ended up being friends with the family, and they really enjoyed us. We had a great time with them as well. We actually received a call, was it last January?
Yep.
They called up and said, "Hey, we haven't gotten married yet, but we are in August, and we were wondering if you guys would be interested to come over to BC and play for our wedding. So with very quick consideration, we basically made it happen, and it was a wonderful experience, a beautiful wedding, and in doing so, we decided that we didn't want to go over there empty-handed, so we decided to get in touch with the maid of honor, and we got kind of a backstory of how they met and kind of, you know, their experiences together up to the point where they actually got together, and we came up with a song for them. And part of this song, in the first verse there, it speaks of remembering a bittersweet day when one sailor left my life, the other found his way. That's a kind of a story of the bride's grandfather who passed away, and on the day that he died is the day that she met her now husband, who was also a sailor. Her grandfather was a sailor as well. So we thought, hey, there's definitely a song in that. So we started off with that and kind of continued on with the story, and we performed the song to them during their dinner rehearsal. They were quite pleased, and we had the lyrics printed and framed for them, and it was quite an experience.
So part of that cruise trip that we took, the whole idea of One Ocean Expedition cruise line is that you hit places that you normally, they're not easily accessible. So we went to Sable Island and got to see the wild horses, and we hiked all of Sable Island, and we went to Anacostia Island and Bonaventure Island and all sorts of islands, the Magdalene Islands, and then we went to Ingonish, and we went to Louisbourg, and we went to PEI. We went over to Newfoundland, and our experience in Newfoundland was really quite unique because we went to a community that's called François, and François has about 70 people that live there, and has no roads, no road access. So there's no vehicles except for quads there, and you get there either by boat or by helicopter. So we got there by boat, and we hosted a kitchen party there, and it was just really quite something. So you'll hear some references to that. And One Ocean Expedition, they do a lot of the Antarctica and the Arctic and all of that, and that's kind of what Kate and Andrew do in their spare time. They'll hop on the boat and take in one of the trips that the boat's currently on. So here we go. This one's called One Ocean. I still remember that bittersweet day. One sailor left my life, another found his way. Through my tears of sorrow, it took me by surprise. The world changed when you looked in my eyes, and through roughest waters you sailed into my life. Our dreams finally coming true, becoming man and wife. The scent of the sweet salt air, our journey's just begun. One ocean, two hearts becoming one.
And I still remember sailing out that night. Although there were others near, they faded out of sight. We sat and talked for hours beneath the moon above. It was that night I knew that it was love. And through the roughest waters you sailed into my life. Our dreams finally coming true, becoming man and wife. The scent of the sweet salt air, our journey's just begun. One ocean, two hearts becoming one.
children sings. As long as we're together, life will be a breeze. From the Sable Island desert to the Anacostia shore, there'll always be more. And through the roughest waters, you sailed into my life. Our dreams finally coming true, becoming man and wife. The scent of the sweet salt air, our journey's just begun. One ocean, two hearts becoming one. Through the roughest waters, you sailed into my life. Our dreams finally coming true, becoming man and wife. The scent of the sweet salt air, our journey's just begun. One ocean, two hearts becoming one ocean. Two lives becoming one ocean. Two hearts becoming one.
I believe, folks, that's what you call an instant classic right there. That is One Ocean, performed by Eastbound, Jay and Krista Luddington, and that is the first time I'm hearing that song, and I have to tell you guys, that's just absolutely beautiful. So well written and well performed. Thank you both.
Thank you
That's
very much.
just marvelous. Can I ask you a little bit about what the creative process is like for you now? Because it feels like you've added a lot more original material to your set list over the last few years. So, how is it writing with each other and putting these songs together? Is that a loaded question?
It could be.
Well, that's all the
you
time
know,
we have.
You know what? Throughout the years, when we first started writing, we definitely have different styles, but
Different ways to flower up words.
Yeah. So there's always the discussions about how to phrase things or use certain words in certain contexts. But in the end, we definitely come up with some pretty great stuff, and we're pretty proud of them. But yeah, it's definitely an experience. For sure.
Yeah, I think the word compromise would be the biggest thing, for sure.
Spoken like a married couple.
Yeah,
Yes, dear.
Yes, dear. Yeah, I think we both kind of come not opposite ends of the spectrum, but pretty darn close. And as we move through the process of getting words to paper, we tend to start to meet in the middle, but it can be tricky sometimes. I remember the very first song that we wrote together, which we're going to finish off with tonight. We went to Montreal for the weekend, and it was rainy outside, and so we thought, you know what, we really should write a song. And a song to kind of reflect us as a couple, as a band, as people, and what we enjoy. And man, oh man, it was touch and go there for a bit. It was. I mean, we came back and we were still together and all was well, but there was some moments.
Hashtag we survived writing a song. Yes.
It's true.
But we've gotten better for sure, and understanding each other and where we stand and how to get to the middle.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, where we both kind of had different experiences with different styles of music. My mother, who's here tonight, was always big into country, and so there was a lot of country floating around, a lot of gospel. There was a lot of which ended up turning into rock and roll later on, moving into Halifax and so on. And so yeah, coming back to this side of Nova Scotia and being kind of submerged under a whole different catalyst of music, with folk, with East Coast, with traditional. It's something that I didn't have a ton of experience with, besides listening to Stan Rogers as a kid. That was pretty much it. So that's one thing definitely since performing with Krista that I've come to love and enjoy. with the art of folk and traditional folk and traditional country folk for that matter, which kind of sums up, I guess, our album altogether.
Yeah.
So it started off like she mentioned, where we had different views and different ideas. But you know what? This last stint of music writing was great. It was a great experience. I really enjoyed it.
If I can compliment you in a way that might not sound like a compliment, Jay, you're a really good faker for saying that you don't come by the whole East Coast thing naturally. So you do it wonderfully.
Thank you so much.
Yes, a good kind of faker. Well, we're going to hear that beautiful song in just a moment. But first of all, I really want to say thank you on behalf of Tel Il and on behalf of East Coast Spotlight for being with us tonight. This has been a wonderful conversation, and nice to have a conversation that's got a few tunes in it as well, too. So thank you guys so much.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Listen,
it's our pleasure.
Thank you so much for having us, and it's so very nice to even be thought of, when it comes to a segment like this, and it's a first time for us, so to be able to sit and chat and play some tunes at the same time, I think it's a best of both worlds.
Yeah. You fit like a glove for sure. So we're going to hear one more from Krista and Jay. First of all, just a couple of quick thank yous. I want to thank the folks from Tel Il Community Television for having me sit in for Jerry Sampson tonight. My name is Adam Cook. It's been a real treat for me to be your host for this particular edition of East Coast Spotlight. I want to mention as well, just like Eastbound is online and on Facebook, you can follow Tel Il Community Television on Facebook, and we're on YouTube as well. As a matter of fact, this very show could be on YouTube even as I speak these, and if we are, of course, feel free to click the little bell to subscribe to Tel Il Community Television on YouTube, and write a little comment as well, or send us a comment on Facebook to let us know what kind of artists and what kind of music you would like showcased on East Coast Spotlight in the future. All right, there's no more to say except let's turn it over one more time to Krista and Jay Ludington singing the song that is the name of their band and the name of their upcoming album. They are Eastbound.
Hear a doorbell ringing and it looks like all our friends are here again. We laugh and play while singing songs. I hope this fun's never going to end. We are here to have a good time. Just relax and take it easy like you should. With hands clapping and toes tapping, we'll keep it happening just like we said we would. We'll sing it all night long. Na 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 na. Hey, we're eastbound. Raise your glass as you get down. Everybody here feel the sound. Hey, we're eastbound. Seeing different faces yet to know. It's been a time, we see the sign. We're eastbound now, going down the road we know. And we'll sing it all night long. Come on. Na 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 na. Hey, we're eastbound. Raise your glass as you get down. Everybody here feel the sound. Hey, we're eastbound. Na 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 na. Hey, we're eastbound. Raise your glass as you get down. Everybody here feel the sound. Hey, we're eastbound. Na 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 na. Hey, we're eastbound. Raise your glass as you get down. Everybody here feel the sound. Hey, we're eastbound.
much.
Thank you so much. That's a wrap.